Here is your WESN News on the hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Gunshots outside Southeast Port of Spain Secondary School. Tutor calls for more security. Mother seeks help after special needs child faces bullying at school. Body found in Williamsville identified as drug-related murder victim. And Tobago Carnival expected to attract over 30,000 visitors. Now for the details. Gunshots were heard outside the Southeast Port of Spain Secondary School on the morning of October 17th, leaving students traumatized and forcing an early dismissal. Tutor President Martin Lumpkin expressed concern over the safety of schools in high-risk areas. He also revealed that after an altercation with a security officer, a student reportedly returned with others who attempted to break into the school and threatened further violence. Tutor has urged the Education Ministry to improve security and call on the TTPS to increase patrols around schools in hotspot areas. An 8-year-old boy with special needs attending a private school in Port of Spain has become the target of bullying, according to his mother. She reported that her son, who stutters, has been pinched, kicked, spat on, and verbally abused by classmates. Despite raising concerns, the school has yet to take action. Frustrated, the mother is considering going to the police and Ministry of Education after her son expressed he no longer feels safe at school. She hopes the administration will step in to address the bullying and protect her child. The body of a man found near a cemetery in Williamsville on October 12th has been identified as 49-year-old Adesh Bal of Princestown. An autopsy confirmed Bal was stabbed to death. Police suspect the murder is drug-related as Bal had a history of drug offenses and trafficking. The body was discovered early in the morning by a passerby along Coriel Road. Investigations are ongoing. The Tobago House of Assembly's Division of Tourism expects over 30,000 visitors for the island's 3rd annual carnival from October 25th to 27th. Assistant Secretary Niall George shared the projection on the Tobago Updates morning show, highlighting the event's significant economic impact, estimating at least $30 million in spending. George noted the carnival is off to a strong start with the Runaway Beach Party at Pigeon Point on October 16th, drawing large crowds. He emphasized that this signals a promising carnival season for Tobago. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for watching.
WESN.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. Good to see you. Thanks for staying with us here at WESN. Well, our guest on this edition of the program, Mr. Kendrick Richardson, he's been here before. Somebody who, well, he made the news in the newspapers some time ago about a life that he lived in Trinidad and Tobago, and he went to the United States and then came back here under force of decisions that had been taken with what we should call his lifestyle. We're talking this morning about some of that. How has his life gone on to this point where he is now? We're talking about what he wants to. He has a special concern about rehabilitation and peer counseling. He's a peer counselor as well. When I called him to invite him to this discussion, we were talking about, let's talk a little bit about what I see as the sort of double society we have in Trinidad and Tobago. Some people, it is part of the law in the working environment that a day on the job is 8 hours, an 8-hour day, as we've known to call it. But there are categories of people who work 12 hours a day, who must work 12 hours a day to register that they work for the day. They don't get, in our cases, paid vacation. They don't get overtime. They don't get no special rates for working more than 8 hours. And that is having an impact on a lot of people. And there are movements to deal with it, even in the presence of the strong and the plentiful trade unions we have in Trinidad and Tobago. So Mr. Richardson, thanks for agreeing in the space of time between when I called you and when you decided to come and grace us with your presence once again. And as we were talking before we came on, my mind went back to that discussion we had based on the story that's carried about yourself in the papers that's a couple of years ago. Thanks for agreeing to come on. And so you say you want to put an emphasis on that, and that's fine. It is important. If you're talking about peer counseling in a culture and in an environment that we have in Trinidad and Tobago, now things don't seem to be getting any better in terms of the behavior of some of us, the kinds of crimes that continue to go on. What is happening?
It could get better, Mr. Johnston. Thank you for inviting me to the program so I could say something to the right. The situation in Trinidad and Tobago, as far as the crime is concerned, right? It's not a overnight thing. It didn't happen. It didn't just start happening yesterday. Yeah. This thing has been boiling up for years. Way back. It's
been a long build up to this point.
Since back in the, I guess back in the 60s, 70s, you used to have gangs. You know, you used to have all kind of lawbreaker gang.
Yeah.
Belmont, there's a bunch of gangs there. But they were not as ruthless as the gangs today. Right? Back in them times, people usually will have cutlass,
bottle and stone and things.
Stone. you get upset with someone today, by evening time you may get up. You know, you might get a little tap in the side or a little punch or something like that, and that's the end of that. But today is difficult because now is the gun, right? So there's no comeback. It's difficult to really say that you do someone something this morning and you're probably going to talk to him this evening because by lunchtime he already kill you. And then when you get killed, you're not coming back anytime soon, right? So, but there's a cure for it though. And that is what I guess we had to look for.
And what is that? To the extent that you can put your finger on it, what do you think is the cure for it?
Now, there's different, like, you know, like if you have an ailment, there's different medications that might come towards that.
You know, thing called acifecator?
Yes, you remember back in those days. And it need the old time, actually it need the old time medication, right? Now, a lot of people speak about the hangman, bring back the hangman. But the hangman, that law is already there on the books. It's just that...
It hasn't gone anywhere.
It hasn't gone anywhere, just that they do enforce it. And then remember England, we under the Privy Council, they come down with a lot of other stuff. Now, we could understand that the hangman, it could be, you know, it have a word that they say, it may not be a cure for it, but it may hinder someone if someone know that they will have to pay for the deed. They may try their best and deviate from that.
Yeah, well, a lot of people in this era of thinking consider it to be inhumane and so on. And for whatever reason, it is still on the books in Trinidad and Tobago, but somehow we don't seem to have the means to carry it out. A couple of months ago, there was somebody who was a prisoner who was condemned, as they say, and he had the death, the death sentence read to him. They took him up to wherever they do that in Port of Spain prison, and twice they read him his last words.
Wow!
And he didn't get.
And they probably committed now to this life imprisonment or something like that.
Yeah, on the basis of that, because that was described as cruel and inhumane, that you would take somebody up to the gallows, read them the last rites, as it were, and then for whatever reason it didn't happen.
That could be.
And there are other people who've had that kind of experience. Yeah.
But at the end of it, Mr. Johnson, right, even though that may be so, right, because of course, you know, if you had to put the man to death, put him to death, don't beat him up, kick him around, and then you're going to still hang him, right? Still, if a person takes, even in the Bible or in the religious books now, it tells you that if you take someone's life, talking about the Old Testament, the laws, if you had to get to the Bible, or if you want to get religious,
any one of the holy books,
any one of the holy books tell you take someone's life, then your life should be taken, right? To the extent now. So and there's also forgiveness there also, right? Now a
lot of countries, one by one, moving away from that because they say that the death penalty is cruel and inhumane and unusual. So there are movements, including in Trinidad and Tobago. There's a lady who sort of is head of that mission in the Catholic Church.
Well, I have an opinion on that. Yeah. I have an opinion on that because I figure that the death penalty could be a deterrent, because you have to have something that, speaking about, because of the nature of the crimes today, where no one is not speaking to anyone anymore. Remember, no one is speaking to anyone. Right now, a person, take for instance like Belmont. I live in Belmont. And in that little area, where everyone's supposed to know each other as a community, back in the days.
It used to be that.
It used to be a community. Remember, long ago, it take a community to raise a child. So that means when a child is being raised in the community, everyone in the community knows that child. So he's like, morning, sir, morning, Mr. Johnson, morning, Mr. Richards, morning, Mr. Kenrick. Nowadays, in the same community, there's so much of divisions and borderline, right? That one person cannot move from one place to the next.
You can't go 2 streets up from
Two streets up from where you live. Or sometimes you live up in the hole, and your only way to come out is this way, and you warring with the people and them in this way, so you can't come out of that hole that you're in. So now you tell yourself, well, what could be done? Because right now, the way how the situation is, Mr. Johnson, it's difficult. This is not a political thing. No political party can say that they could come and stop crime. Because remember, it didn't start with a political party. It started with poverty. You know, as Shadow saying, poverty is a crime, right? Unemployment. Now remember, again too, we're not blaming the governments for that, because remember, a lot of governments, as small as the country is, we don't have all the money in the world, right? But we do put certain things in place for people. Is that people sometimes is not feeding into the system. People just sit back and expect probably things to come to them.
What do you think of the statement that has come now like a noose around the Prime Minister's neck, because he is being reported and being quoted as having said some time when he was in opposition that if a government can't fix the crime problem, then that government should be removed from office. And so that is being thrown around his neck as we speak about that. What do you
All right, good.
think of that?
All right. Okay, sometimes when a person, not sometimes, anytime a person is going for political office, politicians have a way of always saying things that could make them win the election. It doesn't mean that they may try now to implement it, because remember, a politician is not God. A politician will say, well, vote for me and I'll set you free, right? Vote for me and I'll set you free. And then when you vote for them now, they realize that when they get the office now, they realize that the load is in front of them now. What they have, the mountains, it's not a molehill. Because remember, when you're outside, you could talk, people just talk a lot when they're outside. When a person's watching a chess game or even watching some football, man, look the move, make that move, make that move. But when you actually there, it's a whole different ball game. That's why the elders used to say, those in the kitchen feel the heat.
Yeah.
Remember, you're outside saying, man. But when they get up in there, okay, now he said that. And I'm not a politician, but I do follow current events, right? Current events. And I mean, I have my preference, but I wouldn't.
We all do.
I wouldn't reveal it right now, right? I have my preference, right? I wouldn't reveal it. But I still say that no one man is an island, and no one man could do anything. A person could say something, sometimes a person says something today, and by the time by the time they walk outside, a thought might come to them.
Sometimes circumstances change, as you say. Sometimes you get an inspiration or what have you. You get something hit you to make you think a little differently.
Right away, because sometimes I just say, Mr. Johnson, that a lot of people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, a lot of people who might be speaking today, Bob Marley, right, and all them guys who singing back in the days now. Sometimes in my quiet moments, I'm thinking that if they were alive today, they may have had a different opinion of what they were saying yesterday. Because as knowledge, every day you live, knowledge increase, your knowledge increase, you get more knowledge, things clear. Everything is not a one size fit all. Sometimes you say, well, okay, I'm going to go this way. But by the time you reach here, you realize with all that sort of traffic, everything, so you deviate. So now I'm telling you, well, watch, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Well, Mr. Johnson, I'll be there in 15 minutes because I'm around the block. But when I see the traffic, I decide to go down that way. So it takes me 20 minutes. So you would say, well, that man, he's probably a liar because he said we'll be here 15 minutes around the savannah. But I been deviate. And I'm coming here, you know, I'm going to eventually reach. Yeah. But I take another route.
Yeah. I want to get to the point about peer counseling in an environment that, as we have now, because we seem to be getting deeper and deeper with what is happening with crime. Every Monday morning is a new approach to the commission of crimes in the country. We have a situation now in which people, at least for the moment, it seems as though there is some decision has been taken by whoever, maybe the people who call these shots, to go after people who have money and who are known to have resources, kidnap them, call for a ransom, and get it. In some cases, the last couple of cases, they
get the money and still kill the person.
Yeah. In addition to that, people are appearing on crime scenes looking like police officers. So we're going from one bad to the worst. How we pull back from that?
Okay, look at this, Mr. Johnson. Here I look at as far as counsel. All right, I live considerably among the years in the United States, right? And I was incarcerated over there.
Yeah,
considerable time, right?
We talked about when I first met you. Yes.
Right, and the programs that is being instituted, because most of the time, the people and them who is in the prison system, right? They had some ideas of crime while they were outside. Hence the reason why they're inside there, because it's not everyone in Trinidad doing crime, you know. It's not everyone in Belmont doing crime. It's just the minority of people. If you look at the gangs, they say the gangs, this gang might have 1,000, this one. This country has 1.5 million people. And there's not no 500,000 people is bad people.
Well, 1.5 million who born here, but we have probably 500,000 from...
About 2 million people who...
Well, I mean, those who come over, from Venezuela.
But modified, treated to the bone. Right. Probably 1.1, right? Because probably a whole us leave, right? But what I'm saying is that if there's 100,000 bad people now, right? Unlawful people, lawless people. That is not even a good percentage of people that is bad. So how do you deal with this? So what I'm saying is this, right? There's no quick fix. There's no quick fix like a government could say, well, here what, we will institute this program, because there's a lot of programs. Now, as I said, I was living out there, and what it does in the system, because as I said, the people who is in the system is people who were lining up right now. You see all them guys on the block out there. They're lining up to go to prison now, because remember, that is the direction they head in. So long as you decide to come out of school, you don't want to listen, you want to hang out on the block, you want to smoke, you want to drink, you want to have a good time, you want to be out there. It's only 3 places you could go. It's either you get killed, you end up in the hospital, or you end up in the prison. Right? There's no other place that you can end up unless you make a whole 180, not even 360, because if you make 360 and end up the same place, right? So you make a 180, you cannot turn away from that.
Yeah, but you say there's no quick fix, and everybody agrees with that, and people talk about it sometimes. But I mean, we've been trying to fix this issue for decades, and
right.
it is getting worse. It has gotten worse instead of better.
Right. No, Mr. Andy, no, you have to understand that sometimes there are some people in the prison, they say that call the shots. Right, when they lock up all of these bosses, they're in there. And then what we need to do is to get, like outside in the United States, right? The detection rate, the crime detection rate out there is about, let me say, 95%.
It's much more impressive than
right, much more impressive. Down here is only 5%. 95% of the people who do crime in the United States will be caught and prosecuted, 95%. 5% might fall through, and that is 5% of the 95%. In Trinidad, 95% of the people is getting away.
Why do you think that is?
Because they have to fix the legal system. Like, I'm not going to say anything about the commissioner of police and all these things, but the people in authority, the government in authority, they got to have people in authority who knows what they are doing, though, who could really and truly.
You mean what kind of people? When you say people in authority,
people
like who?
In authority, like the people,
the DPP and you know. And
right, like okay, let's say like the Prime Minister, yeah. Right? He seems as though he's the one who could say, well, look, I want this one to be the commissioner of police, or if by his recommendation or whatever it is,
yeah,
right?
he calls the shots.
He calls the shot.
Yeah.
So now he has to get someone who knows the job.
And he got a lot of licks, and he still gets licks for that. Some of the decisions he made, and he rescinded them. You know, particularly with a certain,
and that is where the problem comes in.
Particularly with a certain individual, when he said, well, he lost confidence in that person, and today he's an enemy of that person.
Okay, I see the road we lead down here. You're speaking about Mr. Griffith, right? Now, Mr. Griffith is a good, I think he's a good man for the job. Yes, everyone have the, you know, I mean, I like him. I like how he's flexed, you know, he's flexed a certain way, you know, the way he speaks. He's very outspoken, right? And he could get things done, right? He's something like a celebrity. When people see him, they shout out, hey, no, guy, everybody want to be seen with him and everything else. And I think his initiative, I think, was going on the right road.
You think so? Yeah,
I think he would have done something, because if you realize it, since he's not here, since he left, right? You see how you see where crime went?
Yeah, my view is that he didn't bring anything under control, but that's just how I look at it. But the thing is, so let's come now to, given the situation that we're in, how do you function as a peer counselor? Because every other person on the block somewhere should do with peer counseling, because that is what, the absence of that is, at least in my humble submission, the absence of effective peer counseling arrangements in communities across the country is what is driving a lot of youngsters into the groups that commit various kinds of crimes.
Very good. No,
correct?
No, we understand, Mr. Johnson, that you can't really compel somebody or shove something down someone's throat, right? A person has to really, rehabilitation comes, a person has to want to be rehabilitated, right? Or else it will be beaten like Jesus said in the Bible, you can't cast your pearl before swine, because the swine and they will trample up the pearls and then still come back and attack you because they do not know the value of the pearls. So a person could come and give lectures. I speak to, in my area and in other areas, and anywhere I go, I always speak, you know, to the youths, and always try to use I as an example now.
And would you say it's working? It has been working?
Some youth, I mean, I get respect from them. Yeah. I don't know if I mean, I still see them on the block. But when they see me now, I could see, I won't say a fear, but I could see some respect is shown that, you know, this person here, he spoke to me and like he's looking forward to me to do something.
And what do you think makes the difference with some of us? You say somebody has to want it to go for it. But a lot of times, coming to want it is based on the quality of the leadership, of the personality sometimes of the person who's doing that, who's doing the peer counseling, and the tools that they would pull out from the toolbox to make an impression on this youngster and have them change their minds or change their directions.
Okay, like, I'm a mentor also. I does mentoring, right. And I does mentoring. When guys put on probation, it means national security, right? Yeah. When the guys put on probation, I will mentor them, right? But what I'm saying, but that is after the fact. Remember, that person already, he committed a crime, and that person already criminal minded. Yeah. We trying to get, before they even get to that point. Yeah. Yeah. And that have a lot to do now.
Prevent them from going that way and then have to
going that way. Instead of trying to, you know, put the plaster on the sore, we're trying to prevent the sore, period. And that comes from the beginning with parenting. Scripture say you have to train the child in the way how they should go. So when they get old, they will not depart from it. Meaning that in the household now, most household is so toxic because not only toxic, sometimes it's not even the parent's fault.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, you know, in the face of the best intentions and the best activities that a parent can find and devise for their children, sometimes that's not enough.
It's not enough because of the fact that the child, you know, I remember there's an old saying that you can make the child, you can make the mind. That is not 100%.
And there's some people who don't want to hear that at all.
Right.
Don't come and tell me that.
Don't tell that. But that's not 100% correct, because remember, sometimes a child is really act upon what he sees the elder is doing. You know? So sometimes you could form a child mind. You know? Sometimes you could actually form a child mind.
Yeah, and that, as you said, you know, it's something that clicks with me. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it works positively and negatively, because sometimes some children grow up into becoming something and someone that their parent couldn't see at all.
Yeah,
you know, a shining star, a light in some ways, and they didn't. Sometimes you want to know, well, where they got that inspiration from.
Because remember, there's an old saying again. I like the old sayings that the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. Sometimes the fruit fall very far from the tree because you see the parents and them is like respectable people going to church, going to the mosque, going to the temples, doing whatever. And they just get that waywardness and they try to figure out where you get that from. Now that comes from peer pressure.
You hear parents saying, I don't know what is
wrong with that girl, what is wrong with that guy? Right? They go to school, they meet people, because remember, when a person, a lot of people just keep the children home and homeschool the children. Because they see the school have a kind of environment there that is very toxic. Because remember, there's people from different areas, right? And little children who may be of a certain mentality now. And they comes to school, they're in the same school with you who have a different mentality. And you now, remember right now they're speaking about bullying. And
I was just going to say that, don't get us started on the question of bullying. That's
bullying. So now if you softy, they will take advantage of you. So next thing you know, you was a person who was learning, all of a sudden you won't stop doing that because they tell them guys telling you, hello, you have to come with us, you have to walk this road.
And they think about peer pressure. How did someone like yourself cut through that and seek to point out where might be the fault lines in hanging out with this group or that group, or even this person or that person? How do you work that? How do you try to work that as a...
I will share something with you just in answer to that, right? I could only speak about my violent past in the United States because I did all my violence out there, right? While out there, I used to run with groups of people who were very violent. So by being with them, I did violence also. However, when I began being incarcerated though, and then while you're in there, only people you're having around you is who? Might be your mom, might be your sister, your brother. You're not seeing your friends. And remember your mother, my mother, she not coming in to tell me that when I come out I should continue crime. She coming in to tell me, hello, when you come out, you have to be straight, right? So after a while, you getting beaten with that in the head every time. And when you come out, you see the same, it's a cycle. If you come out, you go back to your friends. You see, it's the same thing, you get back, end up in trouble again. So after a while being inside, because there's no rehabilitation in the prison system, you have to rehabilitate yourself. The tools is there, but you have to utilize it because that people goes into the system and come back out even worse than they went in. Guy went in a nice guy, when he come out, he know because he have so much of different minds in there. A guy can teach you how to steal, how to smoke, how to sell drugs in there because they have all the experts inside there. So there's no rehabilitation in there to say, well, look, because you go to jail, you're going to be rehabilitated. No, you have to want this. So what I keep saying, Mr. Johnson, is that...
What makes you want it, you think?
When they get tired of being tired. When they get tired of being tired, because now remember, you facing 25 years to life. And you're saying, wow. When you get it 25 years to life, right? It may sound good among your peers because, that's a rank. Well, I get 25 years, don't play with me. I'm a criminal, I get 25 years. But when the reality really sets in now, that it's 25 years of your life that you are not going to be outside, while being incarcerated. I don't want to go too deep into that because what I was trying to, the point I was trying to make is that while you're in there, the criminal minds will come back out one day. So while the people is incarcerated, there should be some programs in place, strong programs, like alternative to violence, the NA, the regular NA program, Narcotic Anonymous, Alcoholic Anonymous, they have alcohol substance abuse treatment program, different programs they could initiate inside of there, work release programs that help a lot when a person's inside. He get the opportunity to come out and work.
So in your view, you don't think that we're approaching behavior change in the most appropriate ways? You think that that is where the problem is?
Rephrase the question.
The behavior change, how what the process by which even people like yourself and peer counselors and so on, the methods that we're using not working, or we're not using the more effective?
Well, for some people, because what I say, Mr. Johnson, sometimes you don't see the progress, because it's something to be minded, is that some people just be progressing. And like for some reason society don't show these people up. They show the bad ones. Look at these bad guys.
Say the bad news bears.
Yeah, the bad news, right? And then, but the good people, the good news, right? The good people always seems to always come last. And the ones who really, they always seem to get all the exposure in everything else. What I'm saying is this, right? When a person is arrested, he locked up because he may not have done anything wrong. Some people in there unjustly, but for the most part of it, I think 99% of the people who get locked up did something to get up inside there. 1% of the people a person might accuse you wrongfully. I'm talking about violent crimes.
Yeah.
Kill somebody, you beat up somebody, rob somebody. These are violent crimes. You rape somebody. Them is violent crimes.
Yeah.
There's white collar crimes. You steal somebody money. You steal money from the bank, fraud,
And you lock up the drawer made it appear that you were guilty of having done this, and you get sentenced.
Yeah, you get sentenced, and then you might be acquitted. It have a lot of history that they actually hang people who were innocent, right? They hang the wrong man, but the circumstantial evidence against that person was so strong that I take for instance like the murders that they arrested the parents for killing the girl, right?
Yeah. With
all that information and the DSA indicted them for murder and everything else. When I was reading this yesterday, reading the fine lines, the DA is saying, the prosecutor is saying, but the evidence is circumstantial evidence. It's not direct evidence. They don't even know if that is the lady body there, because they say the DNA, the evidence is not conclusive, right? Because it's been so long and Trinidad so backward and all of these things now. But they say they just put pieces together. They probably see some clothing, and that doesn't mean that is the person there.
All right, we just have a couple of minutes. The question is to what extent you see, if you see that peer counseling by and large is not working, or that some people do not have what it takes to be peer counselors and so on. What do you think makes a difference?
I figure that from in my opinion, I feel that a peer counselor should be a person who's been there and done that. In opposed to a person who went to the university, get all of these certificates and come and telling me about crime and telling me that.
And somebody who's seen as a success story, as a shining light in a community.
Exactly, something like that.
You think that...
I think a person is more look up to that person and understand that person and will want to listen to that person, in opposed to a person coming with a jacket and tie and with all of these big set of degrees and trying to talk to me. And I'm asking you, did you ever shoot somebody? No. But I want someone to tell me who shoots somebody already and say, brother.
Okay, so you're from your perspective, you believe that somebody has to bring something to the table as to how they were on the wrong side and they got on the right side, as opposed to somebody who is seen as an exemplar, never committed a crime.
Exactly. Like in my case, right?
Yeah. You think that there are pros and cons to that?
Pros and cons. Like in my case, as you and I were speaking off here before, I say that with all this information that I have, yet still, though I'm not being utilized. When I came to this country, I went to the Ministry of National Security. I told them who I am. And the first thing they want to know, well, wait a minute. I said, listen, I get deported 3 times. And the first thing they want to know is, how come you get deported and went back out? I'm saying, well, hello, I come to tell you I have all this information. I come to help with rehabilitation. They want to know how I get deported 3 times and come back. That is what they want to know. They want to lock me up instead of saying, well, brother, you can help. So now I am just home doing nothing when I could be doing something, Mr. And there is something that could be done, because I have the experience.
In the meantime, you're not, you don't have a routine by which you talk to youngsters and so on.
I don't have a forum, because remember, you have to be very careful how you speak in the youngsters these days. They just can't go on the block and tell a youth, stop do this and stop do that, because next thing he bring that information to the boss. And then next thing you know, they're burning down your house or they're taking you out because you become a threat to their livelihood. Long ago, the community used to raise the child. I'm telling you, it's not so no more. The community, they stand by now and say hello. Because sometimes you speak to the child and the child parents come in for you. The teacher speak to the child. Long ago, I used to go Ideal High School on Genome Avenue, right? Ideal High School. And you go into high school and they used to beat you still with a ruler, put you up on top of the desk. and beat you all in the cars with the ruler.
Yeah, as a boy from Deep South, I consider it ideal to have been one of the prestige private secondary schools in the country between then and now.
Wow,
So
wow.
we're going to have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
It's always nice talking to you. I really like talking to you.
Kendrick Richardson. We will continue as time goes by. That's been our program in this edition. 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
WESN.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife.